Good afternoon, Chairman of the Board, Professor Talbert, Chairman of the Executive, Ami Ayalon, President Shapira, President-elect Professor Rubin, Rector Professor Faraji, Vice Chairman of the Board, Mrs. Sonia Lansstein and Lady Irene Hutter, honorable members of the Board, distinguished family and friends. Once again, we would like to send our deepest condolences to the families of those who were killed and a speedy recovery to those who've been injured. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to this concluding plenary of the University of Haifa's 44th Board of Governors meeting. My name is Dr. Ossi Mokryn, and I am a lecturer at the Department of Information and Knowledge Management and a researcher at the Center for Internet Research. It's been an incredible meeting, which I hope you've enjoyed. To begin the session, we have the last film in our series about University of Haifa Israel Prize winners. The Israel Prize is our nation's highest accolade, which recognizes outstanding achievement. As an academic, it's really inspiring to see members of our own university. Congratulations to all these prize winners. I hope and believe that their path will be taken by other leading lights in our university faculty. It's been a busy, sometimes passionate, always illuminating few days. We've had the privilege to hear some impressive leaders in their fields explore key issues, and we've looked at exciting new areas of research. Most of all, it's been heartwarming to see how many friends from outside academia are interested in our work. It's good to know we have friends who stand by us. In fact, my own research, which looks into mining opinions in social media and online networks, already collaborates extensively with industry. So it's been delightful to know that some of you have such varied professional background. Throughout this event, Professor Talbert has been steady at the helm, bringing his academic mind and assured hand to a successful meeting. So, without further ado, it's my pleasure and honor to invite Professor Talbert to the podium to conclude the event.
First, I want to join others who have expressed their sympathies to the families who were killed last night's tragic event. One of our students, a third-year undergraduate in political science and economics, was seriously wounded. But according to the latest reports, his condition is stable, and he and the others who were wounded are in our thoughts and prayers. It's very interesting for me as a longtime citizen of Boston to compare the marathon bombing that occurred, I think, 2 years ago, maybe it's 3, to how the city responded, Boston. There was one, as you can recall, one of the two brothers was not apprehended for a day or so. The entire city went into lockdown. Lockdown meaning frozen. People were advised to stay home. The streets were empty. There was no traffic. This 19-year-old boy terrorized a metropolitan area having over 2 million people. Fortunate for the Bostonians, they're not used to violence. But we're all Israelis today. And the strength and the vitality and resilience of Israeli society exemplified by last night and this morning and this afternoon of life going on as normal is an extraordinary statement of who we are. We mustn't take that for granted. It stems from deep roots of connectedness. of being a family. I guess I'm a Bostonian at heart, but I still get upset. Okay, back to business. We have fiduciary responsibilities to take care of. We've already approved the new members of the Board of Governors in your package. You have them listed there. We also have a long list of individuals whose terms have expired, but which, in the wisdom of us, we'd like to renew. Please take a moment to look at that list. If there's anyone on that list you think should be excluded, please raise your hand. I will take that as an affirmation. You've re-elected me for a second term of office. I've already thanked you and accept your condolences. We've gone through the ratification of the appointment of our president-elect for a term of 4 years beginning October 1st. We have delegated the authority to the Finance, Physical Development, Administration, and Resource Development Committee to do their work. And we have set the date for next year's BOG meeting for June 6th to 8th. Kindly mark your calendars. Is there any objection to the date? Trying to be open, transparent. Yes? Well, this is still the first week. It has to do with lots of things, all of them political. Okay. I reserve the privilege of making some concluding remarks after we hear from the committees that convened over the past 2 days, and I call on Professor Mark Udoff to offer some resolutions from the Academic Affairs Committee. Mark? Yeah, please come up.
Thank you, Fred. We had a robust meeting of the Academic Affairs Committee and discussed many issues: the appropriate size of the student body at the University of Haifa, the ratio of grad students to undergrads, the student-faculty ratio, the demographic composition of the student body, and demographic trends in North Israel. We also had a very, I thought, good discussion of the value of diversity and pluralism, and I think the Academic Affairs Committee members were very pleased with where the university is today in terms of enrolling Arab Israelis and other groups. There are 4 resolutions, and I think you have them in your packet, and 3 of them deal with, address the issues of analysis of data and the need to explore different scenarios for making decisions on the size of the university and how those decisions would interact with financial quality and other variables of the university. The 4th resolution is a resolution opposing putting the Board of Governors on record as opposing academic boycotts of Israeli academic institutions. It's symbolic, but we thought it was important for the Board of Governors to stand behind the faculty and the administration and indicate that for a variety of reasons, we think this is a very bad idea. And in that discussions, I want to note two things. One is particularly Ami made the point about the diversity of Haifa is a strong reason why to oppose the boycott movement, among others, but it is a strong reason. And we had some wonderful students there, and they contributed to that discussion. The vote was unanimous in that discussion. I took the liberty of the chair to appoint a few of them directors of various things. I was so impressed. But having no authority and no money, so it may not go well, I'm not sure. So that is the report. Mr. Chairman, do you want me to read the resolutions? We have them here. I can do that. All right, I will do it. 1, the Board of Governors commends the University Administration's efforts to analyze the demographic trends and economic environment in Israel and their potential impact on the future of the University of Haifa. 2, the Board of Governors supports the administration's efforts to explore all possible directions regarding the composition of the student body and its related challenges. 3, the Board of Governors supports the administration's efforts to examine from an analytic and quantitative perspective the various alternatives regarding the growth of the student body. 4, the Board of Governors of the University of Haifa condemns the boycott, divestment, and sanction movement against Israeli academic institutions. BDS limits the progress of scientific growth and the exchange of ideas and knowledge, and it threatens the basic principles of academic freedom that constitute the pillars of higher education institutions. Thus, the Academic Affairs Committee and the Board call on the University of Haifa to continue its efforts to actively oppose the boycott of Israeli academic institutions by scholarly organizations all over the world. Further, we believe that the diverse and pluralistic atmosphere at the University of Haifa is an essential asset in the battle against BDS. We are academics, so we wordsmith this, but I take everything you said as being consistent. The symbolism only that the university is already doing a very good job on this. So, but I thought it's important symbolically for the Board of Governors to say we are behind the faculty, we are behind the president. So that's what I meant by, I think it's very important, and I think we should circulate this statement, and we should expect other Israeli universities to take similar actions. And
would you consider modifying the wording?
I don't know about destroying academic freedom. We could. It doesn't destroy all of it. BDS is not the whole world. I mean, it's inconsistent, dramatically inconsistent with academic freedom. And science will grow in this country with or without BDS, but it impedes that growth. I mean, it is not constructive to try to isolate Israeli academics and institutions. So I would prefer not, but if there's a consensus to do that, I certainly can live with your language. Okay.
Other comments? We'll vote on the resolutions as a block. All those in favor? All those opposed? It's unanimous.
Okay, thank you. Great, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my fellow friends of the Board of Governors, well, in the Financial and Physical Development Committee, we have met, we have delivered, then we have ratified, and then ratified again, and then we have resolved, and we have adjourned. That's as a framework. Good work, right? Excellent. We have ratified the financial statements for the 2014-2015 year, and then we have ratified the budgets for the 2015-2016 year. Then we have reappointed our auditors, Messrs. Forer, Kosforer, Gabay, and Kassira, and we took note of the physical development of the university. And if you look at the resolutions, which I will refrain from reading, you'll probably see that we call upon our friends to continue and support the university in its efforts to improve and to add to its physical development. And at the end of the resolution, there is a list of buildings and other endeavors of the university that should be tackled, should be a challenge for us as Board of Governors to try to see if we can bring about further donations. I would like to thank in this occasion my fellows, members of the Board of Governors who take time and insight to participate in such occasions.
Thank you. Are there questions or comments about the report? We need not approve them because we already have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Barry Schrag, the chairman of our committee, had to leave a little bit early, so I was asked to deliver the report on his behalf. We had a very lively discussion in the Student Affairs Committee. It's been our custom each year to try and highlight a specific issue that we can bring to the attention of the board and put into the agenda of the priorities of the university. And this year, the issue we brought to the attention of our committee and then to the board is the issue of access to higher education. We discussed this extensively. I reported on a very exciting grant that the university has received as the leader of a consortium of 12 institutions around the world from the European Union Commission on Higher Education, actually in the area of access to higher education for Israeli institutions, 4 from Georgia and 4 from across Europe, Spain, the Czech Republic, Romania, and Lithuania. And it serves as an example of how we can put diversity on the agenda of our university as an academic value, not only a social value, which doesn't take away from the importance of diversity as a social value, but it indicates that diversity is actually an intellectual asset for the university. It's a way that we can further achieve not only academic recognition, but also academic excellence within our institution. We also heard from the Student Union a report about their entrepreneurship program, and in particular the way their entrepreneurship program dovetails with this agenda of accessibility to higher education for students with disabilities, as we learned from Barry as a representative, in this case of the Ruderman Foundation, students with special abilities, and students also from minority populations within the university, and of course the importance of the advancement of women. So we concluded with 2 resolutions, which you have before you. Should I read them, Fred? Please. So the first, the Board of Governors endorses the activities of the administration to make the university more accessible to people with special abilities and minorities, and to facilitate the advancement of women, and recommends that the university management give high priority to these efforts in its allocation and development of resources. And second, the Board of Governors applauds the efforts of the Student Union to promote entrepreneurship among students and alumni of the University of Haifa, especially as pertaining to those marginalized in the workforce, including those with special abilities, minorities, and women.
When we come to the university, we don't hear much about people that made their aliyah, and I think it's something important that we hear about. And also, I would like to see some Ethiopian students. I know that we had the first lawyer that did his studies here at the university, and I think maybe we should also go to the basics and have some insight of what is done at the university for people from the Aliyah, and especially Ethiopians.
Fortunately, Lady Irene Hatter was supposed to be here today, give the report, couldn't be with us, so I'm standing for her. I think that we are all in the same conclusion that we need more time for deliberations. I'll begin with that, Mr. Chairman. We have a packed schedule at the Board of Governors, and the overall understanding of the members of our committee is that we need to find a golden way how to have more time for discussion and deliberations within definitely in our committee, perhaps also in other committees. That's something to be contemplated about for next year, perhaps. We gave a thorough review by 3 persons. I give one review about the resource development and the visits of the university, which have direct relations to our fundraising successes. We've seen the facts and figures of the last 4 years. Ilan Yavelberg, our spokesperson, gave a beautiful presentation about the work being done in his department. And last but not least, and for the first time ever, we had Jenny Zail, who runs now the alumni activities within the Israeli Friends Association, to give some of the highlights, I should say, for the last 2 or 3 months in that field, which is so crucial for the resource development of the university in the future, both in Israel and overseas. There was no official resolution submitted to be discussed. Are there any questions, Mr. Chairman?
Some brief closing remarks. First of all, Esty and Rachel and the staffs that put together this ambitious, overcrowded program, thank you very, very much. I have to tell you as chairman, I have a trivial contribution to make in terms of organizing this meeting. This is run, organized, planned, coordinated by a very, very dedicated staff that is highly professional and does a superb job year after year after year. And thank goodness we have that talent. In regards to some reflections about the board's meeting, obviously the most important event was the fiduciary responsibility of endorsing the search committee's deliberations for the next president and the Senate's confirmation, the executive committee's confirmation, and finally our confirmation. And on behalf of the board, Ron, we wish you only good fortune because we all are relying on your wisdom and leadership. The other noteworthy event, and frankly, the most important in my memory, was last night, when the Board of Governors sponsored a gala dinner for Amos Shapira and thanking him for his stewardship over the past 4 years. And the highlight, of course, for me, was dancing with Amos. And for those of you who were there, you know exactly what I'm referring to. And for those who weren't, you missed quite a show. I truly think that participation at the Board of Governors has multiple responsibilities and opportunities for participation in this university's life. And for those of you who have attended, I hope that you have found it worth your while, that you've been stimulated, you've been informed, and hopefully you will go forth as good ambassadors of the university. In terms of our themes for next year, as always, I ask for suggestions. As you know, I like provocative topics. It's a way of invigorating the board's deliberations and bringing key issues that face all of us to the fore strikes me as a worthwhile activity. So that's really all I want to say. I will turn the program back to our Mistress of Ceremonies, and again, thank you for your attendance and considerations.
And thank you, Professor Talbert. I'm sure the faculty join me in thanking you for giving your guidance and wisdom so generously. In fact, we thank all those who took part, speakers, chairmen, all the staff and faculty who helped making it happen. We also give our heartfelt thanks to Rector Professor Faraji and President Amos Shapira. And our warmest congratulations to Professor Robin as we enter a next chapter of the university's life. Ladies and gentlemen, the board meeting isn't quite finished. After this session, there is a tour of the Helmsley Charitable Trust Mediterranean Sea Research Center. For those who've never been, it's fascinating to see. And there is also a dedication of the new deep sea facility at Shikmona after lunch. Buses leave in 5 minutes from the shopping concourse. Thank you all for sharing this meeting with us. We've loved hosting you and look forward to seeing you all next year on June 6 to 8, 2017. Thank you.